make in this screening exercise was to emphasize, number one, the sanctity of the law. The law, that is the NDDC Act. And number two, to underscore the fact that the NDDC was created to address the challenges of development of the oil-producing areas, communities, and the people. And that the law was crafted in that manner for a reason. The NDDC is not just any other federal or national agency where you make appointments or nominations from anywhere once you see competent people or people you know. No, the NDDC is a different act. The NDDC Act recognizes the fact that development concerns and issues of inclusion by the oil-producing communities, which has been a causative factor of the unrest in that area, must be addressed. That's why the law was crafted that way. And it's important that anyone, the president or those advising him, who are making nominations to serve on the board of NDDC, must comply with the NDDC Act with respect to the involvement of people from the oil-producing areas. In fact, the word the Act uses is indigents of oil-producing areas or communities. So it's not enough that a nominee comes from an oil-producing state, in our view. No, it doesn't address it. You have to go further to determine that the nominee comes from an oil-producing community or local government or the locality, so that the person should have an affinity with the concerns and challenges for which the NDDC board was established by law. And that applies, and the concerns I raised and the concerns other lawmakers also raised in that respect. It's not personal, and it's not limited only to one nominee. No. It applies to all. It applies to all. And that's why I tried to make the case, as much as I did. There's no doubt that the persons nominated are competent. But the NDDC Act provides another qualification besides competence. And so, let's see what happens when the committee meets in camera. And I've advanced the view that because government is winding up, because the government is ending and the terms are ending, because we are preparing for a national election, and because there is some level of instability and so on, our concerns are focused on elections. If we must let them go, for now, I want it to be clear that the appointing authorities should note that any subsequent nominations or appointments to the board of NDDC should respect the NDDC Act. The NDDC Act now is like a tissue paper. The president appoints when he likes or does not appoint when he likes. The president appoints a sole administrator unknown to the law for years. The NDDC has suffered more executive violations. And it's good that the president is now waking up to the responsibility of constituting a board according to the Act. But then there should be compliance with the other requirements of the Act. I wanted to state that for posterity. I don't want it to be swept under the carpet as if the feelings and concerns of the oil people from the oil-producing areas don't matter. The feelings and concerns of the oil-producing communities and areas matter, because it is for them that the NDDC was established. I congratulate those who will eventually be confirmed, and as they resume, I join them, because we know a number of things that have been going on, that there should be teamwork. There should be teamwork between the management and the board, and no room for petty quarrels. There's so much work, too much work in the NDDC for them to do in our communities and in our areas. So they should focus on that, and there should be little politics. NDDC has become a tool for politics. Political leaders who have made nominations on this board should allow the members to function. Their responsibility now is to the region, their responsibility now is to the country. The NDDC should cease from being a cash cow for politicians to fund elections. There are big ticket development agendas there that can be pursued. And they should consult amongst themselves and critical stakeholders, the governors of the states and other stakeholders, so that they can come up with projects and policies that will stand the test of time. For now, the NDDC, from my experience, has been one of the most abused agencies of the federal government. And it's very unfortunate. And we hope and pray that this board, when eventually constituted, will be a difference. There will be a difference between this board and the several other boards and other appointees who have not been able to change the story of the NDDC. For now, ladies and gentlemen, the story of the NDDC has been a very pathetic one. And we just hope and pray that now that they have been appointed, if they are confirmed and eventually appointed into office, that they will work hard to make a difference. And that's why I made the points I made on indigenous. Thank you very much.
Distinguished, I want clarification, sir. Distinguished, part of the reasons why you are going for closed executive session is the issue of what the section is saying, section. Okay, it is same area. Are we looking for a way that people like you will think of an amendment to the NDDC Act? And two, sir, because the Act specifies that the executive director of projects and the executive director of finance should come from oil producing area, but it is silent on the issue of the chairman of the board. And against the backdrop that the first chairman of the board from Abia, Oyema, which was from the oil producing, are you looking for a way around this?
Well, as I said, the NDDC Act has, stipulated a very critical requirement of indigenship. And if it applies to most of them, then my interpretation is that it applies to all of them. Because that requirement applies to all. And we don't want the situation where it gets so violated over and over again that with time, the requirement of indigenship is wiped out, knowingly or unknowingly. And that's why we made that point. As for amendment, yes, I think I support the requirement of indigenship because there is a reason why it is there. And that was because the NDDC was established to address the concerns of the oil producing people. So you cannot talk of development, you cannot talk of the operations of the NDDC outside the concerns of the oil producing areas or communities. We know what that means. The oil producing communities know themselves. The people from the oil producing communities and areas also know themselves. There is no ambiguity as to what constitutes an oil producing area or community. The ambiguity, if any, is deliberately created to justify the violation of the Act. If you nominate somebody from an oil producing area, it is known. If you nominate somebody from an oil producing community, it is clear. We know that. So there should be respect for that. And I will support any amendment that will take away the requirement of indigenship. If anything, we should amend it to strengthen indigenship so that we know that the people will have a sense of belonging. And those appointed also know that they have a duty to the region, to the nation, but also bearing in mind the challenges of the areas they represent. Thank you.